I'm not gonna argue with that. What's going on, everyone? My name is Talon Sai and you are watching Sunday GUNDAY. I hope you're all having a great Sunday so far. Today we're taking a look at a firearm that I actually promised you guys a video on in the past. I mentioned that this thing was going to be hitting the market soon and I finally have it in my hands today. Now, I previously brought this up in the video on this gun right here, the BUL Armory SAS 2 Viper. If you haven't seen my video on this, I would highly recommend checking that out first at the link right up here in the corner. I straight up love this gun. Absolutely love almost everything about it. I actually brought this out again here today just so I could shoot it a little bit more. But now we're going to be moving on to something that is a little bit more carry friendly, and it also has a little bit of customization as well. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new BUL Armory SAS 2 Ultralight. The Ultralight, or UL for short, is essentially the same platform that the Viper was built on. It has the same 3¼ inch fluted barrel, no compensator on this one, a similar light and slide with no RMSC on this one, and it also has the same alloy frame. Unlike the Viper that ships with their full-size grip, the UL ships stock with this compact 15-round grip. Now, my UL has a few upgrades done to it already, the first being the modular trigger kit with a flat trigger shoe. This also has their CCW kit, which has a flat hammer and a bobbed beaver tail, making it much easier to carry. The barrel has been two-toned, black and polished, just like my Viper, and these are all options that you can choose when ordering directly through BUL. We also took it one step further and made it extra custom by adding my logo to the side of the slide. This is obviously just a personal touch for myself, and I don't think anyone else would actually want that. Unless... Now, before we get into a first mag impression with the UL, I'm definitely going to utilize this time as an excuse to shoot the Viper again. Again, if you haven't seen my video on this, I said so many good things about it, and I love the gun, still love it, and I'm looking forward to shooting it some more. Right now, I'm shooting some weird 147 grains. They sort of have a flat nose to them, so it's going to be a little bit different than my actual test of this gun. My normal ammo is becoming increasingly harder to come by nowadays, but I did save some for the UL testing. Let's try this thing out again. Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. That weird flat nose of these rounds. Guns typically don't like that. That is why I saved my typical 115 grain Fiocchi for the test of the Ultralight. This thing is almost exactly like that, but a little bit smaller. No red dot, no compensator, flat trigger, smaller grip. Let's see how it does. Alright guys, first mag impression time with the BUL Armory SAS 2 UL. It's very obvious, but this is basically exactly like my Viper, just scaled down in every single way. So I guess we'll start from the top with the iron sights. My Viper 2 is obviously the optic ready version, and I do prefer shooting pistols with red dots because that's what I train with, that's what I carry with. However, as far as iron sights go, I have no complaint here. You got the red fiber optic up front sucking in all of the light, and then you have a black serrated rear to cut down on any kind of glare that you might have. These are adjustable as well, so maybe if I eventually get into some accuracy testing, I could make some tweaks if I wanted to. Now, moving down to the slide, it obviously has some machining here which allows this thing to be pretty damn light. This gun has an unloaded weight of 1.37 pounds. It is extremely light for a gun of its caliber. If you compare this to any other 2011 style gun right now with a 15 round capacity and very similar features, I can almost guarantee that this thing is going to be lighter. This thing has really nice serrations all around it, including up front, which are very deep, and you get a really positive grip on there. Serrations in the rear are of course super functional as well, and when I rack that slide you can see this CCW style hammer. Now if we compare this right next to the Viper, you can obviously tell the difference there. When the hammers are down, you can no longer see the hammer on the UL, and of course the Viper still sticks out there. So that feature, like I mentioned, is an add-on, and it really comes down to personal preferences and tastes. If you're going to be carrying a gun like this, right off the bat I would probably prefer something like this because there is a little bit less snag than something like this. While we're actually looking at the back here, you can notice the bobbed beaver tail. The beaver tail on the Viper is pretty large now when you put it up against the UL. So every little feature that went into this gun was basically just taking this and making it more carry friendly. So we have the bob beaver tail, the carry hammer, we still have a pick rail up front. If you wanted to throw a light on there, that's definitely a possibility. The safety on this one is single-sided, so we have it right over here for a right-handed shooter. And then moving down to the grip, this of course is much shorter. You get 15 round capacity out of these metal mags. And what's really cool about the UL and the Viper is that since they are essentially the same platform, I can actually take the slide from my Viper and throw it onto this right here. I actually haven't even done that yet, so maybe I should try that. All right, there we go. That took about 30 seconds. So now I have the UL frame with the shorty 15 round grip. I have the upgraded trigger in this one and the CCW pack, so of course the bob beaver tail and that hammer. But now on top I have my Viper 2 slide barrel with the compensator RMSC. So this is sort of blending like the best of both worlds. Now since I broke this thing down, that was actually my first time taking these things down. Here's a quick look at the inside for anyone who is interested in that. I know I only have one mag through the original configuration, but I think my ideal setup would be this slide with this optic on this frame, this trigger, this hammer. I could probably do without the compensator, but yeah, as you can see, they are extremely similar. So this is a pretty cool setup with all of the cross compatibility. I'm going to, I guess, shoot this for a little while. I'll put a mag or two through this in this configuration, and then I'll switch back to the pretty standard UL version. And yeah, let's go shoot this thing some more. All right, curious to see how this one runs. SAS2 Viper upper on the UL lower. It runs. This trigger is phenomenal, by the way. And now we're back to the little shorty UL setup. Another good thing about these parts being interchangeable is that obviously the mags are as well. So here I have the mag from the Viper, and it just hangs out a little bit like that. How about an even longer mag, like this right here? I just switched back once again to the Viper slide barrel sight combo because I simply shoot a red dot better. It's what I train with, it's what I carry, and I'm just simply more proficient with a red dot. Now in a perfect world, I would make my ideal setup right now. I would actually swap out the barrels between the two, that way I could have the UL package with the red dot without the compensator. However, since all of these guns are hand fit, the barrels are also hand fit to match the slide, so I can't actually do that. It is highly recommended that you do not do that. So if you're thinking about picking one of these up, do a little thinking beforehand so you know which configuration you would actually want. If you get the slide, barrel, compensator, optic situated first, then you can just swap out grips later. Now let's try to run this tree right here. A little rusty, haven't been up here shooting in a while. Let's run that back one more time. It's a little better. Back from 50 yards. Of course, I missed the last shot. Alright guys, back for some of my final thoughts on the SAS2 UL. Just like my thoughts on the Viper, pretty much everything is the same here. I'm really glad that I found BUL Armory when I did because they make hands down my favorite 1911s, 2011s, and they come in all different shapes and sizes. You have different customizable options that you can choose from. They just make a really solid platform, and there's a lot of cool things that you can do with them. Now, as far as the Ultralight goes, like I mentioned, my ideal setup would be this exact gun right here, same everything, except I would throw an RMSC on there. For a home defense gun, for an everyday carry gun, the one that you have with you in your pants at all times, for a competition gun, no matter what you're gonna do with a pistol like this, a red dot is just more suited for me. However, iron sights are fine if that's what you're used to shooting. That's literally the only thing that I would change on this gun. Now let's take a peek at this trigger real quick because like I mentioned earlier, it is phenomenal. I of course opted for this flat trigger shoe here. I prefer flat triggers on pretty much any gun, pistol or rifle. With a trigger like this, you can fine tune it and adjust it, and this one just doesn't need any adjusting. Very predictable take up back to the wall, and then you get a insanely crisp and clean break. It's probably about 3 pounds. It might even be a little bit lighter than that. Yeah, I'd say 3 pounds is probably a good guess. The reset, tactile and audible, I mean, it's almost a perfect trigger. So if I were to actually put this pistol into an everyday carry roll, there are a few things that I would need to do. Of course, find a good holster for it, which is going to be a little bit hard to come by. I would definitely opt for the red dot version, and also I would have to train a little bit to get used to manipulating the manual safety. I carry a striker fired gun without a manual thumb safety, so that's something that I would have to get used to. Typically for a striker fired gun, I would prefer a little bit heavier of a trigger, but since this has the safety on the outside, I think I might be okay with that lighter trigger. I haven't shot this gun nearly enough to be comfortable enough to actually carry this thing. I like to put at least a couple hundred to thousands of rounds through a gun before I trust it. However, I'm definitely looking forward to shooting this thing a lot more. Same thing with the Viper 2. Now, a few other things to mention, and I guess you could call it the icing on the cake. This thing does ship with a very nice box from BUL Armory right here. It comes with 2 15-round magazines, and in the stock configuration for the UL without the 2 extra accessories that I mentioned, like the trigger and the CCW kit. You would think that this gun would be pretty expensive because you would compare it to a lot of its competition like STI and maybe even some Wilson Combat options out there. However, this thing is coming in super competitive right now with an MSRP of $1,270. If you get this exact gun with the trigger upgrades and the CCW kit, then you're looking at $1,490. So that's an MSRP under $1,500 for a platform like this. That to me is sort of a no-brainer. I'm curious to see how much a slide with the RMSC will be on something like this, so I'll look into that for the future. That's one thing that I'm definitely going to change about this gun. But other than that, I really think the value is there. I love my Viper. I think I'm really going to dig this thing a lot as well. All of the different upgrades and distinguishing features from the Viper 2 to the UL, I think they make a lot of sense, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think as well. So let me know in the comments down below. If you guys have any questions, I will try to answer them as best as possible. There's a very good possibility that you will be seeing this gun and the Viper 2 on the channel here more in the future. We just did a PCC showdown last weekend, so maybe we'll have to do like a 1911, 2011 showdown, something like that. Like this video if that's something that you guys want to see, and I believe that's all that I had for today. So if you guys are new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe and make new videos every single week. As always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one.